We finally have some news that we've been waiting for weeks. The number of new coronavirus cases and hospitalizations across America continues to go down. The death toll is still high, but according to the experts, that's a lagging indicator, so those deaths should start coming down too. Cases dipped by 17% in the week through January 27th, while hospitalizations dropped 10%. This is the second straight week of decreases in both categories. So at least the numbers seem to be going in the right direction. I don't know what that means going forward. I don't know what that means around the world. It feels like we're in a race against the vaccination here in New York, where we're experiencing a big snowstorm. The vaccinations have been halted today, which is not good. Hard to get a vaccination for many people. A lot of people are standing in line 2, 3, 4 hours. They seem to have a multi-tiered system. Depends on what you do for a living, what your age is. Instead of just widespread mass vaccination, first come, first serve, they are sort of doling it out, rationing them out because, well, I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I do know that the governor of New York is one of the most polarizing figures in America, particularly on the issue of COVID. Because to millions of New Yorkers, he's been the light in the darkness. He's been the inspirational voice of leadership. To others, well, he's the guy whose disastrous policies led to unnecessary deaths of senior citizens in New York who were essentially sentenced to nursing home stays from a governor whose state policy mandated that if you had COVID-19, you had to go to the nursing home. And again, I always think it's important to compare that with the Florida policy that prohibited COVID-19 patients from entering nursing homes, likely saving thousands of lives there. But of course, the mainstream media being the mainstream media, they go after Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, as if he doesn't know what he's doing, and somehow this guy is a genius.
A third of all deaths in this nation are from nursing homes. New York State, we're only about 28% only, but we're below the national average in number of deaths in nursing homes. But who cares? 33, 28, died in a hospital, died in a nursing home. They died.
Even the Washington Post slammed Governor Cuomo. He stayed defiant, as you could hear, and he's reacting to his own state Attorney General Letitia James's report that said that Cuomo's health department underreported deaths in nursing homes by as much as 50%. But when Cuomo says, who cares? Well, that drew fire from the Washington Post, which ran a headline, Andrew Cuomo's bad who cares answer on coronavirus nursing home data. From public policy perspective, he should care. We should care, the senior political reporter wrote. A death is indeed a death, but there are major and very valid questions about whether nursing home policies led to unnecessary deaths. To the extent more deaths occurred in or came from that setting, it allows us to evaluate how significant that problem was and how much corrective action is needed. Cuomo has to know that. Now, I would challenge the Washington Post writer, Aaron Blake, now do Ron DeSantis. Now write about Ron DeSantis' Florida policy or any other state that wisely said, we're not going to let seniors with COVID into the nursing homes because it'll spread like wildfire because we know how vulnerable our seniors are to COVID, serious illness, and death. Do DeSantis, do the comparison. Cuomo likes to brag that New York is the best place on earth and certainly better than those yahoos in Florida or Georgia or the Carolinas or anywhere else, Ohio. New York is where it's at. Yeah, New York is where apparently thousands of seniors died because of a policy that was wrong. The policy I've never believed was instituted to intentionally inflict harm upon people. It was just a boneheaded, wrong-headed decision. And this guy doesn't own it. This guy is so arrogant, so cocky, so brazen, he doesn't take accountability for it. And he probably doesn't think he has to because he has a fawning news media that lifts him up like he's the be-all, end-all to everything. We got an interesting development here. And there are people who are saying, and I wonder if you agree, this guy's done. There's no way at this point he can ever recover from this kind of mistake. I saw one analysis saying his political career has now ended. I'm not sure if that's true or not. You get a lot done when you got a mainstream media in your corner, don't you? When you've got the machine giving you, who's got your back, you get a lot of leeway, don't you? You get a lot of leeway. 1-800-655-MIKE. 800-655-6453. Meanwhile, they were going to give the vaccine to terrorists and suspected terrorists at Guantanamo Bay, including the mastermind of 9/11. Let that sink in. They're doing this so badly, they were about to give the mastermind of 9/11 a vaccine against coronavirus, but millions of us still don't have our vaccine because it's not our turn yet. So I guess if you were the mastermind of 9/11, you get a coveted place in the vaccine line. Well, they've now changed the policy. The Pentagon announced after the outcry, they're pausing a plan to give COVID-19 vaccinations at Guantanamo Bay after accusations from Republicans and 9/11 survivors that it was prioritizing terror suspects over Americans. Notice, no Democrats seem to have a problem with the Guantanamo plan. I wonder what your average Democrat would think about giving the mastermind of 9/11 a vaccination against COVID before you give it to an American teacher or a cop or a grocery store worker or grandma. Here's Lee Zeldin, cut number 7, New York politician, talking with Maria Bartiromo yesterday on Fox Business.
I think that much of New York State is done with Andrew Cuomo, and he's up for re-election again in 2022. We don't have term limits in New York statutorily. However, we do have term limits when New Yorkers go to the ballot box. They don't have to keep re-electing him. This is someone who he'd be going for his 4th term, and there's a certain amount of arrogance as if his tough work is done. Now it's about collecting Emmys and writing books. He's not talking about restoring freedoms. He's not talking about cutting taxes. He's not talking about public safety. Instead, they're going the other way with cashless bail. And then you see the defund the police movement in New York City. So hopefully New Yorkers take action and save our state next November 2022.
We'll see if Lee Zeldin is right. There is one more news here about COVID, and that is that now we have a health expert who suggests that, because now they're going down with the road of double masks. And you're seeing people with double masks, 2 masks, 4 masks, 6 masks. How many masks are we supposed to wear, right? Well, now one of the experts is saying double masks are actually problematic because something about there's a top infectious disease expert named Michael Osterholm. He's been quoted a lot during the COVID crisis. He was an advisor to President Biden's transition team. He said that the problem with 2 masks, it can do more harm if one of the face coverings isn't being correctly worn. He said masks that already have compromised fit or filtration capacity, if you add on another mask, you may actually make it tougher for the air to move through the 2-cloth area And then at that point, it causes more air to actually leak around the sides, which actually enhances your ability to get infected. I refer back to my original rule, the Gallagher 101 law of COVID. They're making it up as they go. They're making it up as they go. They don't know. If masks and social distancing were so great, why would the numbers be so bad in places like California?